Hello and welcome to the SorareAndrews podcast brought to you by SorareData. I am Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdinho on Sorare, joined once again by Andy Black, Black on Sorare. Today to talk about the end of the Global Cup. Ooh, said it right that time. Andy, did you have fun playing the Global Cup 2022?
I did.
Did you think you were going to have fun before the tournament?
I did. I mean, I think my original statement was I think that the World Cup will be a lot more fun than the Global Cup, and I'll 100% like continue to say that like Global Cup way better or World Cup way better than Global Cup. But the Global Cup was something to do. I know it's your typical international break. Realistically, it was something to do rather than nothing. There goes the dog on the couch.
Really going in there too.
Yeah.
I still don't know if I had fun with the Global Cup. I do know that it's taken me until we're taking this December 15th. We only have the final and the third place game left. And I can finally say Global Cup without messing it up. That's probably the last time I'll say it correctly now that I've said it. But I don't know if part of the reason I didn't enjoy it that much is because I completely bombed my first match day. And I was just like, oh, well, now I'm out. Not that I had dreams of like winning the whole thing, but
you did some weird stuff there where you were drafting some of the Qatar players or something, right?
So I put my full faith in FIFA's corruption and it backfired. And so it was as simple as that. But yeah, I played a Qatari center back.
So instead of just drafting good players, you were like, I'm going to go all in on this corruption idea. And
I didn't go all in. I went enough in.
I think if you go in at all, if you go down that path, down that dark path of corruption at all, well, you're already all in because it's in the Global Cup. You pretty much have to be perfect every week, right?
So, all right. So, yeah, go big or go home with the corruption would have been helpful before match day one. But I actually didn't think I needed to be all in. Like and to be honest, I thought it was totally going to go my way in that first match, like Ecuador, Qatar. So I picked the Qatari goalie who I didn't play in my match day one lineup, but I did play center back. I don't even remember what his name was. But Ecuador scored so quickly, and I was like, I'm dead. And then that like questionable VAR where it took them like 15 minutes to draw the cartoon that showed the guy that was offside instead of actually just showing what happened in real life. And I was like, oh, I'm good. Like this is going to be a clean sheet, Qatari clean sheet. I'm going to be ahead of everyone because who on earth would take these guys? And Enter Valencia ended that like 5 seconds later. And I think after that, I was like, oh, okay, this is fun. It felt like the game got easier to play, like too easy to play. The 50 points after like the group stage to like make new lineups. It was like, oh, okay, I can get anyone I want now. And everything just felt too easy to play, which like maybe was the point. But it became further and further away from what Sorare actually is as a game, that I started just thinking, I'm done. Like I was just done. And I agree that the World Cup was more fun than the Global Cup.
Did you play with like family or friends at all? Like non-Sorare
I invited some friends, and I think one may have gone in first week and was like, I don't have a ton of friends who are like really into soccer anyway.
Yeah.
And the World Cup is like, so the World Cup is like the most watched soccer we get in the US, but it's also just filled with players that nobody knows. Like if you already don't know a lot of soccer players and now you're like, hey, here's the Swiss lineup. And they're like, I don't know who these guys are. And so it's like a Premier League competition using the same exact rules would be much more popular with people I know than a World Cup, just because the World Cup's hard. That's all.
Yeah.
When you saying I need new friends, I completely agree.
I had a good time with just like family and little smack talk in the household going on. Every time Giroux scored a goal, my wife was swooning.
Me too.
Yeah. And when I had him lined up, I was as well. But I also didn't need to hear 10 times about how beautiful he and his goals were. Um, but and then she drafted Alvarez as well, so I had to hear about that 3 times this week when I benched him. I benched Alvarez,
I think the
and
truth is coming out that we have the wrong Black on this show.
I know.
It's a good thing her name's not Andrew.
Well, what's funny is the only reason she had him lined up was she was like so out of players because like her all the players that she had were on teams that just kept dying. Like she had Kimmich, I think, and then or maybe it was De Bruyne, and then like she got another midfielder, and then they lost, and then like she kept doing that, but like they were doing good enough to where like it was still very competitive.
Sure.
But I don't know. We had a lot of fun in our household with it. Now downside is, and I've heard this complaint now from a few people, and the app just has to be better, and it was probably the biggest failure of the Global Cup. I think if the app would have let you set lineups, if the app would have actually worked, it really would have engaged users with those pings of like, hey, your guy scored a goal, or a maestro, or I don't even know what they don't have any cool catchphrases on the Sorare app, but yeah, I think that they could have that was like a huge miss there.
I'm gonna pile on that.
Might as well.
Yeah. So Chani, who is in chat with us, thank you for joining us, Chani, and everyone else. But Chani was actually the first one that, at least, it was brought up to me. Like, I'm sure lots of people were talking about it, but he was the first one who was like really pushing that he was just like, they should really have this in the app. And I was just like, I mean, sure, it'd be nice. Like, I get it, whatever. And as the tournament progressed, it was more like, yeah, this should be in the app, because I think the biggest difficulty for Sorare is that they should want everyone to get this app and to do everything in the app. And with the way that Apple and I assume Google like are basically trying to get percentages of NFT sales within apps in their app store, it's just like not financially viable to allow you to do everything in their app.
Which is totally fine.
Yes.
Totally fine if you can't buy players in the app.
Agreed. But the not being able to play the entire Global Cup, a free-to-play game on an app, I agree, feels like a giant miss. And I don't know how many people are just completely turned off by that, and they're just like, all right, I'm not playing Sorare. Or like, I don't know how like passionate people are about that. I just know that it would have been by far the easiest way to keep people engaged. And
I mean, the perfect example is, I think 2 or 3 podcasts ago, I was told you the story about one of our buddies that was at the bar, and he drafted a team, and it was so difficult for him to just show me his 5 players.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I got to log in, and then I got to do this, and then he's like, I don't even know where to go. And an app solves all that.
Mm-hmm.
You open the app, you go to my team, here you go. And I don't think that he will end up being a one of their high, whatever they claim their retention rate is, like 90 something percent or whatever. Yeah, he's not part of that percentage.
Yeah, mobile app development is really hard.
I get it.
And
I get it. They have a war chest.
I agree with you. I get it. But the amount of stuff that you can do on Sorare doesn't need to be on the Sorare app. And so it feels like, from a complete outsider perspective, that at some point when they were developing this game, there should have been like, we have to build this for the app. And I don't know if they like came close and it just didn't work. Like maybe they did put a ton of work into it and then all of a sudden they just like ran out of time. Like that, I get that happens. And like, it's weird to like introduce mid World Cup that you're just like, oh, by the way, you can now do everything on the app, since like half the people are gone anyway.
Right.
But I agree. I feel like that's the one major negative to the whole experience that I realized the other day. So there are people on my Twitter timeline, people in Discords I'm in, who have taken this game seriously. John Nellis, who's here, and he's doing really well. I had no idea how, like, where I was. Like, I would check my team and I'm just like, okay, that's my team. I see the score, 5-digit place, and I'm just like, whatever. And I never, maybe it's because I was out so quickly that I just didn't care, but like, it took me way too long. And this probably says more about me than it does Sorare, but it took me way too long to even realize what place, like to find out what place I was in overall.
No, I agree. I think we even did that on one of the. Somebody asked what position we were all in on one of the podcasts, and we went to go look it up. It just takes way too long. And we're on the web, like we're active users. Yeah, not ideal.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I hope so. I hope this also doesn't like deter them from making the app better. Like
Right.
I don't know if they will, but I really think that the game itself that they designed is fun. Just like I happened to ruin it by myself right away, but the game itself was fun to play, and so I think that they have a huge opportunity to create this exact game. We talked about this with Quinny, like for FPL or just overall, but like I think there is a really fun free to play game somewhere here, but it needs to be on the app.
Yeah,
And so
I think that the game was great. Like the way that the game functioned. Sure, there were little nuances with like I think people had trouble or were upset about like the diamond cost of players changing over time, and that wasn't announced till later. Whatever. Put all that behind us. The actual game was pretty good.
yeah.
But like you said, needs to be in the app, needs to be more accessible. Yeah.
Yeah. Someone in chat, actually a few people. Sorare just announced limited football starter bundles for managers who haven't bought any cards yet. So they did this with basketball. And I was really against it. It was basically people who hadn't bought cards yet were setting their common lineups. And Sorare was like, hey, here are 5 cards, $99, buy it, and you can play. And I'm guessing I'm not going to like it for football either. And the biggest thing that I don't like about it, and I'm sure I hope they did a lot of work.
No, they didn't
put into this.
No,
but ignoring the football, we've never had a point where Sorare tells us what cards should be worth. Yeah. And by selling bundles, and I should really look this up before I speak further on this, because maybe they're not actually doing this. But if Sorare is like, hey, we are selling these 5 cards for X amount, they're effectively putting a value on those 5 cards that is separate from the market. And I assume that the prices are close to the market price, but we saw in NBA that some of them weren't. And so there was one pack, and yeah, there was like one starter bundle. I guess we're not calling them packs, that they were selling for $99. And we like quickly looked up the floor prices and it was like $68. And it's like, all right. And one guy, they had they might still do this actually, but like in the common league, they were like recommending limited cards, like, oh, here's some cards on the market. And it's like, those were like the floor price cards, but they were recommending somebody who had just transferred to Saudi Arabia. And it's like, I don't think that's the right way to do it. And I don't know if like people want packs, but these are not the packs people want.
Yeah.
I think that's the difference that I feel like maybe they're missing.
Only available to managers who have never purchased a Sorare card. It's also ripe for multi-accounting. I mean, I hate to just like always come back to that, but
I mean, but you still have to pay for them, right? Like you're not
sure, but I'm sure there'll be some like bundles that there's good value in.
I mean, they're not random.
Right, you know what you're getting, and they have.
So I'm just saying, I don't think they're going to be selling like a $400 pack for $99.
Sure, but if there's an edge, dude, people were multi-counting in Global Cup for 50-cent cards.
I guess. And he's saying, please note that starter bundles, another great name, will not cost less than the estimated cost of a manager assembling each player card individually through scouting the Sorare marketplace. So you're paying Sorare a fee for just being able to get all of them right away.
Yeah, the problem, like you said earlier, though, market conditions change, and I wonder how quickly they'll react to those changes. Player gets hurt. Player gets transferred. Like when does the winter transfer window open? Because we're dropping these right in the middle of a transfer window. So
yeah, Mike put it well. Mike Basson here. They're putting a markup for being able to compete ASAP. Do they? Let me see.
I just pulled it up, so I haven't read through the entire thing, but that's very interesting.
It's pretty short. The starter bundles are exclusively available via the limited global all-star competition. So I guess, okay. Sorare determines the bundle price by carefully reviewing the average price recorded of each player card in that bundle.
Are they stealing that data from you?
I'm guessing they're using the public data that they put on their own site, which we know is not completely... Well, for limited, it's probably fine. Alex says, I don't think it's the worst thing they've done by any stretch. I will agree with that.
Sure.
It's not the worst.
I wonder when we'll be able to see what the
I was looking
what the bundles
for them.
look like.
Yeah, I was looking for them, but obviously we won't be able to buy them.
I assume we'll be able to see them though, right?
I don't know. We have to create a new account and never buy a limited and then just constantly look.
I'll have my wife look at bundles tonight.
There you go.
Hey, honey, pick one out for Christmas.
No, I get the idea. I think it makes sense in theory.
Yeah.
I hope it works in reality because I mean, it's the easiest way to play. It's just like, it's funny how, well, I guess I'm trying to like calibrate the difference between, calibrate's not the right word, but I'm trying to look at the difference between like people who like packs because they don't know what's in them.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, let me just get, because maybe I'll hit the jackpot. But now you're buying 5 cards that you know of. You know what the cards are just before you buy them. But it's probably also not 5 cards you would buy if they were like, pick any 5 cards you want. Because you can do that too. You just have to work a little harder to do it. You have to just buy them individually. So purchase is the only way that is better than just buying cards on the secondary market is if that counts for the 5 auction buys to get a free limited. There's your multi-accounting right there, though.
Yeah, right.
Also maybe means they're not giving away free referral cards for buying 5. Yeah. I don't know how I feel about this. I don't know. I don't feel great about it right off the bat. But again, it's mostly back to like what I was saying previously and what I said about the NBA ones, that I don't love the idea of Sorare telling us what these things are worth. Because like fundamentally, Sorare's always like cards are always valued by people who are buying and selling them, not by the company that's creating them. And this just emphasizes that.
Yeah.
But if it brings in people from the global club, why not? I actually had to say club that time.
Yeah. I don't think that that's necessarily what brings people into the global, like from the global cup, though. I think that because it's kind of a low effort way to play the game, and Sorare is not really a low effort game.
That's Andy just left on. No,
I didn't leave. I'm trying to see what's going on with the like flare on my.
That's a great
camera.
Way to put it, and I can't decide if that means we like should it. They have to make an easier way to play. Like you can't. I don't think the way that we play, and I don't necessarily mean like you and I, but like people who are currently playing the regular competitions. I think we're obviously okay with like the work involved in playing.
Sure.
But I do think that they need to find easier ways to play. And I guess this is it. I guess.
Yeah.
I also go back and forth between deciding whether I think it's better for them to scrap common cards and replace it with a global cup kind of competition, or make regional common competitions so that people who have accumulated more common cards become more familiar with how to actually play Sorare. Meaning like, do I want to use this card in All-Star, U23, or Challenger Europe?
Yeah.
And like those are decisions that a lot of users make every week that is not presented in the casual common card game. Like that seems like an easy one to me. But
yeah, well, it's not presented to you because there's only one casual competition.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Like if there was a casual competition for every single region, that would give people that decision making, I guess.
Like that's one of the fun parts of the game. Is like,
yeah,
what
for sure.
lineup am I prioritizing? Do I play this guy here or here? And instead it's like, oh, I have 38 common cards and I will play 5 of them now.
Yes, I want a U23 forward. I can play U23 now. Like it gives you a reason to be excited about winning something different.
Absolutely.
Now it's just, oh, is he better than my forward? No, I have Messi. I'm going to keep putting Messi in my casual lineup.
Like it, my thought is I wonder if they think that will actually stop people from buying cards. Because they're like, oh, this game is really fun. I just like play and I get cards and I enter all these tournaments. But I feel like it's like an easy way to keep people engaged. Yeah. Don't you want to keep them engaged instead of like, oh, that time of the week where I pick 5 out of my 46 common cards and that's it.
Right. You know what? I saw today that was really cool. Somebody had mentioned that in NBA Common Champion Division, they're giving away NBA League Pass.
Yes.
Would really like to see them do that with the MLS subscriptions for Apple on Apple TV. And I would like to see them do that in like free to play divisions too, because it maybe even more so in the free to play divisions, like the whole podium gets them or something. I don't know, but I think that kind of gives people a little taste of what Sorare has to offer.
I mean, they did that in didn't they do that in MLB too? Wasn't one of the common competitions you got a signed jersey?
Oh, a signed jersey, maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it was that GCN
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It had some weird name.
Yeah. Some 3-letter acronym with a G in it.
Yeah. Like they're for baseball at least, it felt like they put the real world experience rewards in the common game, which I think is fine. Like I think the common football game needs a complete overhaul.
Yeah.
Or not even, well, yes, I think it needs an overhaul to either regional stuff or copy the Global Cup and make some game from there, whether it's Champion Europe. I guess that kind of, well, it doesn't copy the Academy, not the Sorare Academy, the other one from Fantasy Football Scout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it would be nice if the commons like reset on a regular basis to where you had to redraft, and it was like kind of like the way that the Global Cup works, where you have teams or players that get eliminated and now you have to bring in new ones, and it kind of forces you to learn more about different players or different teams. That might be a good way of you know teaching, informing new users kind of what the product's about. It's not just buy Mbappe and Messi.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it could be if you are rich, but for most people, it's not. It's try to win an Mbappe and Messi with 5 Asian players.
Yeah. Well, like our friend Harry Trades this past week won Vinicius Jr. with a Burnley stack.
Yeah.
Like that's what this game is about. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not winning Vinicius with a Real Madrid stack.
Yeah, and he only needed 4 cards to do so, which is even better.
Yeah, although that's going out the window.
Right.
I think, yeah, I think there's a lot of places they can go with the free to play game, and I think the Global Cup is one of the Global Cup game is a really good foundation for other free to play games that, like, not that I think there's too much emphasis on converting people from. That's not how I want to put it. I feel like they use the Global Cup to like bring people awareness to Sorare. And who knows how many actual people it brought in. Like we know that there are over 600,000 lineups, but like we don't know what that means.
Right.
Especially with some like absolutely egregious examples of multi-accounting.
Yeah.
Pure lazy multi-accounting, no less, that wasn't caught.
Like adding 1 and 2 and 3 to the end of their usernames.
Right. Somehow that slips through the cracks. But aside from that, I think the game itself is fun. And I think they keep talking about how they're going to have more of an emphasis on free-to-play stuff. So like maybe they are just carrying this right over and that solves the problem. But it doesn't feel like the number of people who are playing the casual league every week, for example, is indicative of people who are really trying to get into Sorare. The other interesting one, I want to look it up quickly, is the number of lineups that were in the common, like casual game in, what was the game week before? So game week 322, which was the game week before the Global Cup started. There were 98,372 entries in the casual league. 98,000. For this current game week for NBA, there are 96,000 in Common Champion. Is that good for NBA or is that bad for football? Or neither? Like, did you think that the number of common lineups in NBA would ever come this close to the last football one within, what is this game week for NBA? 16.
I mean, obviously not that fast, but the simplicity of basketball is far greater than what soccer will ever have. Soccer will never be as easy as basketball is.
And even I can play any 5 cards I have. I don't have to worry about L10 caps.
Yeah, but you have to worry about whether there's a lot of factors on whether they're playing and getting the news before the deadline and getting guys in the right positions. Basketball, just get 5 guys under the point cap and you're live.
Yeah.
And it's one league. If you follow the NBA at all, you know who all the players are.
True. Yeah, absolutely. But I think that's why they need to move to at least offering domestic league casual competitions.
Yeah, like Global Cup style, like where it's
Yes.
compartmentalized.
Yes. Let everybody in Germany play a free Bundesliga Global Cup style game.
Yeah, that like runs every 6 match days or something. Like
Whatever you want.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I like it.
I really do think, after saying that, like, I didn't have a lot of fun, but the not a lot of fun was my own problem. But I think they nailed the Global Cup game. It was fun to set up. People who have galleries worth a tenth of an ETH to 300 ETH, they all, like, people all over the spectrum had fun with it. The strategies of playing the game, of setting up your first lineup, how you would go in future rounds, and then I don't know how like the redraft would work with like a domestic league. Although I guess you just do it however long, but like there were strategies there of like, do I pick players from teams that I don't think necessarily advance because they might be better, or do you just take the ones that you think will advance the whole time? Like it was a really, really, really well done game. And it would be a shame to just see it like disappear,
Right.
and like not have anything similar to it. When like, I think there's a great opportunity to offer a game like this. I think doing like a Sorare All-Star one is impossible. Like getting the pricing right will never, like, that's probably not worth the work. But like an MLS type game, like you'd play that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I agree. They should definitely do it. Now, the international special stuff, did you enjoy that? You had a limited team, right?
And a rare.
Who was your rare team?
Well, it was like 3 guys who were on previous World Cup or previous international teams that all of a sudden had like random.
Yeah, so I played the Super Rare division too.
Yeah, so I was furious about that because I had 4 super rare. Oh, did I have 4? Maybe it was just 3. I had like enough where I was like close, and I was like, none of these guys are actually at the World Cup, but I had 3 guys who actually, I had 1 that was at the World Cup.
Yeah,
but I had some, and that I didn't have a goalie, and I was just like, I can't even play this. Like I could play All-Star, but I couldn't play the international series.
Yeah. I think there's nothing more infuriating than having a player though on one of those rosters and then not being able to use them because they never play. Like Guendouzi or Saliba, just like they just don't play, and
just don't play. Yeah,
like congratulations, you have a player on the World Cup squad.
I mean, you got your free national series. I did think it was weird, and Jimmer brought this up to us. Like every round of the Global Cup, we could win national series cards with any lineup that we put in.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden they just stopped for this game week. And surely it was announced, but like it was just weird to have, what have we had? 5 game weeks? 6?
Yeah.
5? Where they were like, even if you score no points, we'll give you a national series card. And then this week, like I submitted a lineup and I checked my rewards today expecting 3, and I got 1. And I was like, that's weird. And then I like look back and I'm like, oh yeah, they just changed it. And I guess it's because they're only doing national series they're only rewarding national series cards of teams that are still in. I think that's right.
I don't know.
Ironically, the one I got was in Kunku, who was literally sent home before the first game. But what are you going to do? So maybe that's why they did it, because like the supply wasn't there.
Right. What are your thoughts on still being able to submit club players in the international tournaments?
So just call it All-Star. Like, this is no longer an international special when you can submit like Serie B cards in it. Yeah. I think it's outrageous. And I'm only saying that because I don't have any. Didn't benefit me at all.
My plan is to win. I want to see everybody in the entire community go nuts and lose their freaking minds when I win International Rare this coming game week. I'm calling it right now. I'm going to win it with an Ethan Horvath clean sheet. Let's go. He's going to shut out Millwall. We're going to get the clean sheet, and we're going to take home the championship. Win an Mbappe with an Ethan Horvath.
The idea of winning anything with Ethan Horvath is just really funny to me. So good luck to you. Yeah.
So the conundrum for me is the third place game.
Mm-hmm.
We should hopefully get the lineups before lock. If Croatia full on rotates and their goalkeeper Livakovic doesn't start, then I'm gonna need a goalie, and Horvath's going right in because they definitely count the scores for those players.
Why not just play Horvath anyway?
Well, if Livakovic plays, I feel like that's a pretty okay matchup. And I also don't feel like, does he really? I hope he doesn't.
Horvath has COVID? Oh, no.
I hope that's a joke. But, well, my point why I wouldn't do it is Livakovic has an okay matchup, and I know that they're not going to do some kind of silliness where they like throw my team out when they see that it did well.
Yeah. What does it say?
Now I'm going to Google if Ethan Horvath has COVID. I'll just ask OpenAI chatbot, does Ethan Horvath have... Thank you. I'm glad it's a joke.
Is there... Oh, here it is. Oh, I guess there are regular competitions. I forgot that. So the international special says the only competition covered is Global Cup.
Mm-hmm.
So it is... I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. Well, two game weeks ago, USA was eliminated. Yeah. Ethan Horvath had a club game. I put him in international super rare, and it scored. And I still got... I mean, I was going to win the crummiest custom series card possible, but the lineup was still considered okay.
Mm-hmm.
And my lineup on Sorare shows that I got the 34 points or whatever that Horvath scored. So,
I mean, I don't doubt that they would score it.
Yeah. I also wouldn't doubt that, like, if I podiumed, they would be like, oh, this is like, they would then notice it and be like, illegitimate lineup, you're out.
I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised either way.
Now, do I lose my mind if that happens?
Sure. That's fun. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. But good luck. Because, yeah, I wonder... I mean, there's no way that they would know unless somebody told them. Yeah. Like, I'll put it that way. Which is funny because when you think of it, there should only be 3 goalies who score any points in this game coming up.
Right.
Because they don't have Emi Martinez. So there really shouldn't be that many viable lineups anyway.
Yeah. Well, the same number of viable lineups as last game week, unless both teams in the third place game fully rotate, then you could be looking at, well, I guess if you were smart enough to have one of the backup goalkeepers, although who's Morocco's backup goalkeeper even?
I don't know any of them. Mandanda, don't you have him? Oh no, he's in the final. He's not going to play. Sorry. Yeah. Fingers crossed Sora don't watch this. Based on what we say, I can't fathom they've ever watched this.
Yeah.
But thanks for the idea there, Mike.
Just don't let it slip on the drunk cast later on that
with Dan? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, don't let that slip. Keep that to yourself.
Okay. Anyway, so you asked me earlier if any friend, like, do you have any non-family members who signed up for the Global Cup who aren't in Sorare?
Yeah.
And was there any feedback from them like, oh, this is cool, I'm gonna play after the World Cup?
No. In fact, my brother-in-law plays basketball and baseball. He created a couple of teams and has, I mean, like,
he's going to say a couple of accounts. And I'm like, you can't do that.
No, but he's interested in like EPL and Champions League. Not so interested in MLS, Asian football, smaller league stuff. He's only top 5 league type of guy.
Sure, that's fine.
But he stopped submitting Global Cup lineups. I don't think that there's a ton of interest from him there.
Yeah, my fear is that the real game is just so different. So it's not like you can just jump into a paid version of what you just played.
Right.
And yeah, that actually pushes me right back to my common card competition, or my multi-common casual competition.
I don't think casual needs to be, I mean, the closer it is to the regular game, great, but I don't think it needs to be the same as, the game that we all play.
But doesn't it like help though? Oh, as Andy gets kicked off. I feel like, welcome back.
Welcome back.
I think I feel like the free game should be similar to the real game if you're using it to convert people to the real game. Does that make sense? Did I say that right?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. But without having like, I guess maybe if they gave you like some Monopoly money or something, and then maybe that's kind of what the diamonds are ish.
Yeah. I just feel like it's weird to be like, hey, come play this free game. And you're like, this free game is really fun. And they're like, hey, we have this other game where you buy the cards. And you're like, oh, cool. So like, what's the salary cap? And they're like, no, we don't do that. And you're like, oh, can I get, who do I draft? And you're like, no, you can go buy them. And you're like, oh, okay. So I'll go buy. And they're like, oh, we have this starter pack. You buy these 5 cards. You're like, oh, where do I play
you have to learn a whole new game now.
And it's a whole new game. Right.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't know how you do a paid version of the Global Cup game.
Entry fees. No. Okay.
It's a free-to-play game.
What if it all goes to charity?
It's all free to play.
Oh, right.
You just have to buy the cards that are required to play the game.
Yeah. Now, I do see a lot of stuff on like socials about like them, I don't know, spending too much time on the free-to-play stuff, not enough time on the core game. What are your thoughts on some of those criticisms?
I think the free-to-play game should be the primary focus.
Oh, really?
Now, well, maybe. Yeah. I think the paid game, I don't want to call it the paid game. I think the free-to-play version of the game where you need to buy cards to play is developed enough where you can spend more time creating a free-to-play game that mimics what you've already built enough so that if people get comfortable with that game, they can go play the main game. I think there's too much of a learning curve, even once you've played the common game for a while, that they need to fix. And I'm glad I'm not in charge of having to fix that. But like the common game now, at least mimics like All-Star. You're like, all right, I have these cards and I figure out which 5 to play and I do that. Global Cup doesn't do that. after I'm saying how great the Global Cup game was and they should make more of them, I believe that as well. Like if you could have two different two different free games, that's fine. But I think that using a free-to-play game to bring users in and then telling them to buy cards to play a completely different game is tough. Like if there are like really low retention numbers, like I feel like that's the first thing I would point to. So like you sold them on a game that's very different than what brought them in. Which I don't know. I don't know how to solve that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that there's still plenty to work on to clean up and fix in the primary game, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to call it the paid game because that's what it is.
Sure.
I think that yes, they should build the free to play model. I kind of like what you talked about a couple podcasts ago about making it a better version of FPL and really grow it and make it almost a household name.
Mm-hmm.
Then again, we still see some issues in the paid version with either just rewards or my ability to submit a non-international player into an international tournament, and just like some of that stuff needs to be cleaned up a little bit. It's like, I don't know, it's the classic like 80-20 rule where they need to spend more time on those fringe cases, those fringe issues, those small issues, because they do they affect enough people to where some of these concerns that people have legs.
Yeah.
And like probably me winning that tournament with a non-international player would be a pretty freaking bad look for them when this is supposed to be their big World Cup game and a non-World Cup player takes down the tournament.
He was a World Cup player.
Was he though? Did he log any minutes?
Nobody said anything about that.
Was he on the squad? Sure.
Here it is. I'm just saying, Andy, that where we are. Boy, this is taking a while for me to prove a point. You don't get this without being a World Cup player. Look at that, Ethan.
Well, weren't there some that weren't though? Like,
look, Andy.
And Kunku, right? Wouldn't he not?
You mean literally my last reward?
Yeah, like, I mean, I guess he was on the roster at one point in time.
He was there.
Yeah.
But anyway, I do think it would be bad if that happened. But what are you going to do? Sam had a good point before. Where was this here? The paid version being complicated isn't a bad thing. Nope, that's not the one I was trying to read. Come on, Sam. The Global Cup isn't that different, though. You pick 5 guys. They score the same, meaning the same as the regular game. There are decision trees in both versions that were similar, such as where to allocate resources. That's a good point. I like that. You're just kind of figuring out how to allocate them differently, but you're absolutely right. It's resource allocation. It's a resource allocation game, Andy. It's really all it is. With soccer thrown in somewhere.
Yeah, sure. No, I agree. I agree a lot there with Sam, and I think that like if they were to build it bigger, they could mimic some of those same decision makings. Like we talked about encapsulating the MLS season and building a game around that. But what if you just encapsulated kind of everything or an entire season worth to where you could get some of the all-star crossover in there? If you win enough cards, you can use them outside of the main game or like the league specific game. There'd be ways to likely play with that. Or maybe there is an all-star Global Cup free-to-play game or whatever, and in that you can use all your leftover cards to play on that. Only cards that you've won or accumulated could be used in that extra play mode or something.
Yeah, there are tons of ways to do it.
Yeah.
For sure. Again, thankfully we don't have to figure that out. Is there anything?
I have a good question for you. What are your thoughts on the third place game being scored, and potentially you could win the last round of all of the Global Cup fixtures with a team that wins the third place game?
I love it. I love the third place game. I like it more than the final.
Ugh.
Guys playing for the ultimate pride of finishing on the podium, even when they've lost a heartbreaking semifinal. No, I think it's fine. I think it would be, I think it's weird that it's even played, to be honest.
Yeah.
One of the conversations that I've seen happen in multiple places, everybody's like, oh, this side's going to really rotate a lot, you know, so you're going to get not even like players from the third place game, but like backups from teams in the third place game. And I think a lot of people are ignoring that most of these third place games are not heavily rotated. Like,
is there money on the line?
I have no idea.
I'll bet there's
there might be
cash incentives.
Yeah, I feel like those things tend not to go directly to players, and so you're kind of questioning player motivations in those games. But it like we always used to talk about that at the end of the Premier League season for DFS. You know, like, oh, this game doesn't matter, and they're like, no, because the club will get like £5 million more if they finish 12th instead of 14th. And it's like, how much of that money goes to the players who are actually
right? But the players don't make the lineup. The players don't make the lineup.
Right.
So, you know, the coach might be told, hey, you need to play your first team because this matters for the club. Yeah.
Surface is saying third place gets 27 million and fourth gets 25 million, which actually doesn't even seem like enough of a difference to care. There are you got 25 million locked up. So like, I don't know. I think it's fine. I think it's fine.
I think it's kind of lame, but you know,
it also just allows more people to play.
It does. It does. I don't have a good alternative. I just think it's kind of lame. I'm not a solutions guy. All right.
Philly Dilly said, I think they have to score the third place. The last thing you want is the last week of the World Cup and new users unable to roster a full squad.
Yeah, I get it.
Andy, let's say that there were 500,000 new users thanks to the Global Cup.
Yeah.
How many are setting a lineup for this last match day?
Like, I don't know. I have no idea. Well, 500,000 users because it carries over the lineup every week.
Well, yeah, that's fair. I mean, like, how many people do you think they've retained for this last match day?
Like 10% or something. It's low. Unless like multi-accounting was that rampant and those people are dedicated, then
that's true.
Then it could be high. I think it's low. I think the number's low.
Mr. Vlatko 007 said he's from Croatia and the third place game is important.
Good. So, Mr. Vlatko, is Livakovic going to start the third place game?
Modric's final international match, maybe?
He
probably plays Euros in 2 years.
I have Modric and Livakovic, and I need to know if I need to just plan on them starting, I guess. So,
yeah. Well, we'll know. That one we'll know at least.
Modric will get his first decisive of the tournament in his last.
Yeah, bang 100 in his last.
There we go.
Yeah.
And win the Global Cup with Horvath in goal and Modric 100.
4 dudes from the third place game. Yeah. Just how Sorare drew it up. Yeah. Thank you to everybody who has joined us. If you guys could please hit the like button below, that would be greatly appreciated. Anybody who is catching a replay of this, you can do the same. And if you're listening to the audio version, if you could please rate and review it wherever you listen. The Global Cup was fun. I think we all decided that. The World Cup was fun, but I think we all are also pretty happy that it's almost over.
Go Messi. Go Messi.
That's right. Go Messi. And that we can get back to our regularly scheduled SO5 club competitions every week. I'm excited. We're almost there. Thank you, everyone, and good luck in the final or the third place.